Imagine, if you would, everybody in the state of Vermont, just over 600,000 people, perishing every single year from 100% preventable causes. This is just scratching the surface of addiction in America. 115 people die every single day from opioid overdose. This is up from 91 just last year. This number would actually be quite a bit higher if it weren't for Narcan, the overdose antidote, which saves countless lives every single year. 241 Americans die every day from alcohol-related causes. Liver, kidney, heart, cardiovascular and heart disease, cancer, motor vehicle accidents, other types of accidents. These things take people's lives way too soon. 1,315, tobacco. This many Americans lose their lives every day from tobacco-related causes. Smoking is one of the greatest killers of humans, yet it still continues to do so in the absence of strategic prevention and intervention. These numbers don't even take into account the countless others that suffer with addictions to technology, gambling, pornography, eating, etc. These are all labeled as addictive and compulsive behaviors. They may not kill people directly, but they're having a major impact on communities across this nation. So the big question, why do some people get addicted and others do not? Further, how can some people break their addictions and others cannot? These questions are being investigated, and there is great hope in the literature now, and many answers being provided. One of these answers lies in the learning and behavioral issues that underlie addiction and compulsive behaviors. All of these disorders have some aspect of anxiety, attention deficit, obsessive compulsive behaviors, and other psychological manifestations. Addiction is labeled as a disease of the brain. It's classified as a disease of the brain, but not the way we typically think of disease. Substances and behaviors cause changes in the brain, and these changes can in fact be reversed under the right circumstances. Our frontal brain, more specifically our prefrontal cortex, is the captain of our ship. What happens is the captain maintains control over deeper brain centers that deal with reward seeking. So what happens under normal circumstances, this area tells us not to do things that can get us in trouble. But when we have chronic exposure to certain substances and behaviors over time, the captain jumps ship. And what happens, we no longer have self-directed volitional control. Desire and impulse take over at this point, and choices cannot be made, in contrast to what a lot of people think addicts can or can't do. So what can we do about this? We can rewire the brain to get the captain back in control of the ship. There are proven strategies to help strengthen and develop the systems involved in impulse control, attention, focus, decision-making, and more. Our visual system, 70% of learning occurs through our visual system. What happens when there's aberrations in the way our eyes move that are seen in attention deficit, schizophrenia, dyslexia, and addiction itself, these things can be corrected, and with that we can see changes in impulse control, attention, and focus. Our inner ear vestibular system, what happens is this connects very heavily into our frontal, more human brain. Any changes in balance, in fact, make us less human. Vestibular and balance therapy should be a part of any addiction recovery program. Timing. Efficient neurological timing in our movements and our thoughts is critical for optimal mental health. If there's any disruption in timing, there will be disruption in attention and impulse control as well, and these things can be improved. Delta, theta, alpha, beta, not a new college fraternity, but brainwave activity. Brainwave activity can be measured. Electrical output from the brain can be measured and actually improved via certain types of interventions like neurofeedback, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, transcranial magnetic stimulation, and others. Neurochemistry and metabolic function. All the counseling and brain training in the world isn't going to matter as much without taking into account the complex chemical processes that occur in the brain and the body. Many deficiencies can be overcome. And then there's everything else. No addiction recovery program would be complete without addressing the underlying factors that impact brain function: sleep, exercise, proper nutrition, breathing, stress management. The list goes on and on and on. So, can one move past addiction? Does one have to identify with being an addict for the rest of their life? And I don't like that word. But what happens is most people will say you cannot move past it. I disagree. The brain that abstains, this is shown in the literature, the brain that abstains eventually becomes stronger than when addiction took root. The best way to do this is to bridge the gap between the mind and the brain sciences. Two communities that need to be talking to one another are doing very little of it. It's my hope that recovery programs across the nation will begin to embrace and implement brain-based strategies for addiction recovery. Success is an option, an absolute option. And the merry-go-round of recovery, relapse, and treatment does not have to continue spinning for most individuals. There is absolute hope. Thank you.